Hey guys, Mike here. In this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on Maddening. I just beat it. I'll also show you the team that I used, so you can see how I allocated my skills. As you can see on the screen here, I have my Maddening clear. I think that icon to the right is the clear symbol. So my thoughts on Maddening are, it's really good. I feel like the game was balanced around maddening first, and then they sort of tune down the difficulty for hard maybe, because for maddening you have to use every tool at your disposal, and that's even the somnial activities. I found like every time I came back to the somnial, I really wanted to do the push-ups to get that strength. I wanted to do the wyvern riding to get extra items. After a while, the items weren't really needed. Like once you just had so many vulneries, but it was like good reassurance that I would never run low on vulneries. The cooking as well, just making sure like targeting certain units to get them enough strength or magic. Because like for I think either chapter 24 or 25, like I wanted to get a very crucial overdrive on 3 units in the back early on with Amber. So making sure you had enough strength for that, and cooking to make sure you had enough strength for that was really important. I didn't do the fishing that much, so I can't really say much on it. But my point of being that a lot of the activities in the Somnial I really used everything, like all the bond fragments, making sure like everybody had a maximum bond with all of who they were assigned to. So the Somnial was good. The difficulty on Maddening was it was all right. Like it wasn't like insanely hard. Like I know I'm sounding cocky when I say that, but like what I mean is like even if like I ran into a difficult situation, I always felt like I could get through it. Like there was something I could do to solve the problem and able to beat the map. So like for example on chapter 10, like I knew it was gonna be a slog, but I feel like chapter 10, chapter 17, and chapter 24, 25, and 26 are tests, or even 23 as well. So chapter 10 is like the first test. It's testing you on whether you know the basics of combat. So they give you the simple, they give you the emblems. So you have Marth and Sigurd and Celica, for example, and they're pretty simple to use. So it's just testing you on whether you know how to use engage properly, the basics. Make sure you're using them effectively, like to take out enemy squads as well as to kill bosses. So it's testing you on that. It's also testing you on the basic mechanics of the game, like break. Not so much smash at this point, but it's definitely testing you on break mechanics, knowing your matchups and stuff like that. It's just all the basics. It's also testing you on movement, like how you move your army, because it's a very narrow place to move your army in chapter 10. So that I feel like chapter 10 is like the first test. And even chapter 11 to extent, because you lose the emblems, so you have to just rely on your basics, like your weapon triangle, your matchups, like pitting classes against enemy classes that would do well against each other, while at the same time focusing on the objective. Now, chapter 17 I believe it's like the second major test for you, because chapter 17 you have 6 bosses to kill, so it's really testing you on how you manage your engage abilities, and when to use them, when to save them, how to move, how to aggro enemies, stuff like that. A little bit more advanced concepts, like taking on enemy squads that come right after each other. Because in chapter 17, there's really no break in chapter 17. There's really only one break you get, which is when you kill Gris, Mavier, and Marnie. That's like the first break, and then you can set up for the last push, which is when all the other enemies come at you. So you got Zephyr, you got Hyacinth, and you got Vale coming at you, and they're one right after each other. And the thing about that is, I think it's the real first hard test for you to deal with 2 bosses at once. Because actually, prior to that chapter, there was that chapter with the 2 bandits as bosses, and that was all right. It was like your first taste at a double boss encounter, but if you don't play chapter 17 right, like Zephyr, Vale, and Hyacinth can all just gang up on you, and like you're in a really shitty situation where it's like 3 bosses you have to deal with. So it's really testing your ability to, like, how efficient you are on every turn. because the first you have to kill Zephyr in one turn. Then right after, Vale and Hyacinth are on you, and then right after that, it's testing you as to how you can deal with the two bosses at once. Like, what tools are you going to use to deal with it? Are you going to use Dragon Veins to block them and hinder the movement of one? Are you going to use Freeze Staffs? Are you going to use Korin to freeze? Like, how are you going to deal with this boss? Like, are prioritizing targets? Are you going to go for the squads, the fodder units first, and just try to clear out them, and then go for the bosses? Try to take out a boss early. It's really testing you on your efficiency and how you plan out your strategy. That's the second major test, I feel. It's chapter 17. And then the third major test is I would sort of combine chapter 23, 24, and 25 as that third major test, because those are like the endgame chapters, and they're pretty long. And what those chapters are doing is that they're testing you on how you can adapt to certain situations. Because the thing with that is there's like AoE effects that really screw up your movement. So like, even though you planned ahead to some extent, like where you were going to move, it's like just like the constant reinforcements combined with the AoE attacks that force you to move into unideal positions. It's really testing you how you would adapt to an ever-changing situation. And I know some people don't really like that. They like Fire Emblem when it's very straightforward and you're trying to just like create a strategy and just execute the strategy, and then everything's good. But that's what chapter 23 was really, I think that's where it frustrated a lot of people, because it's like, because the meteors are coming down, and it's like, oh, crap, I can't move here. I have to like spread my units out, and it's gonna screw me up. And like, you have these freeze staffs on the reinforcements, and the reinforcements don't give EXP, and it's like, it's just chaos, right? It's like the meteors, the freeze, trying to even get to the boss. You got monsters shooting meteors at you. It's like, and you have to decide whether you want to aggro certain pre-deployed enemies, combined with the reinforcements that are constantly coming. It's infinite reinforcements, right? They're never going to stop coming. So, you know, that all of that lends itself to a really chaotic situation, and it's really testing your ability to execute strategies in the moment. Like, on the turn, something could change and make you deviate from your original strategy. It's like, okay, in this turn, what are you going to do to handle the situation most optimally? Because you still have to push. You can't just turtle. You have to push. You have to take area, and they're going to be assaulting you with all these different weapons and tools on their end. So it's like, how are you going to deal with that? That was chapter 23. 24 is kind of the same thing. It has the I think it was the avalanches, right? The avalanches is the same idea. It's a little bit more predetermined, but it's extremely oppressive. Like, the reinforcements are constantly coming in. The flyers are abusing the shit out of the mountains, so you can't really push on the flyers. Not that you want to push on flyers anyways, because they have 6 move, but the avalanche is coming down. It's like, how are you flexing? How are you utilizing your flyer units? Just like all of these oppressive situations. And not only that, you have to do it in a time limit as well. So 24 is like, it's a 15-turn time limit, so you have to run all the way up, and you have like the avalanche pushing you down. You have the enemies just assaulting you. It's like, how are you going to get to the boss and kill the boss within 15 turns? And it's like that. Another thing I noticed on chapter 24 is that there are no engage puddles on the ground. So it's really forcing you to use your engages wisely. Well, you have to be liberal with your engage uses to take out the enemies quickly. At the same time, it's testing you on your ability to build meter without relying on engage puddles on the ground to fill your meter automatically to full. Because you can build meter by just attacking enemies. So, you know, by killing enemies, you want to always have your engage being used. You don't want to be sitting on your engage, basically, for that map. You want to just keep attacking units, using your engages. When it runs out, just keep attacking units so that you can build a meter back up. And then, like, if you find a good opportunity, make that last push to mark and just kill them there. That was chapter 25. So chapter 24. Chapter 24 is like making sure it's testing you on whether you can use your ability to build meter, right? And doing the paralogs helps for that, because it shortens the meter step 1. So you don't have to take as long to build meter, but that's what I feel chapter 24 was testing you. Chapter 25 was the Lumera chapter. That was splitting your units up. You can do a warp strat to kind of put your units on one side. I actually beat that chapter on first try really easy. That one, again, it's kind of the same thing. It's not too different. Like, it has the AoE attacks, it has the infinite reinforcements, and it's testing your ability to how are you going to move all the way to the boss and take the boss, especially when the boss is heavily protected by all of those pre-deployed units. So chapter 25 wasn't that bad, actually. Chapter 26, everything comes together. It's like how are you using your engages properly to take out the enemy squads, take out the 4 mini bosses, so you can break the barrier off Sombron. And you have to do it pretty fast. You can't really do it slow, because if you do it slow, a ton of reinforcements start coming in, and it's just pretty much impossible, I think, if the reinforcements come in. I mean, it may be possible, but it's like insanely hard. And it's also testing you on, AoE attacks, like dodging Sombron's AoEs, micromanaging 2 groups of units. Like, you really can't bring all of your squad and turtle into one squad. You have to split your squad into 2 groups, and how are you allocating those 2 groups properly so everyone is covered? Like, everyone has a role, everyone has a job, everyone has their engage, like they're using their engage and their emblems properly. 2 squads that cannot really support each other, and you have to really think about how you're managing your inventory, how you manage your emblems, making sure everyone's doing their jobs to make sure that each side kills 2 bosses. And then at the end of that, you have to kill Sombron. He has 4 HP bars, and it's testing you, like, how are you maximizing your DPS to make sure you can take down Sombron in 1 turn with all of that DPS, right? So and it just, everything comes together, that like the weapon triangle, all of the mechanics, the weapon triangle, the break mechanic, the smash mechanic comes in, the making sure you use your emblems properly, just team composition, making sure like you have your team comp is balanced between the 2 squads that you make, and they can handle all of the challenges on their respective sides without being able to support each other. And then finally maximizing that damage on Sombron to get that final boss kill. So yeah, Maddening is crazy. It's you have to use everything. You have to study everything. You have to learn all the skills. You have to see what has good synergies with what emblems and stuff like that. Yeah, I think Maddening on Engage is probably the best Fire Emblem I've ever played. I used everything. I didn't feel anything was overpowered. I felt like everything had a purpose. Like, for example, brave weapons, they were kind of nerfed in this game. Like, their attack power is actually kind of low, but the purpose of brave weapons is like to build meter fast, as well as get 2 reliable hits in before the enemy can attack you. So that's kind of like the purpose of brave weapons. Like, they really put a lot of thought into all of the mechanics throughout the history of Fire Emblem, like what worked, what could be tweaked, what could be buffed, what could be nerfed. And just everything I found was relevant. Like, the class system was relevant with the armors. Like, people say armors are shit. Armors are not shit. They have their very specific role. They're used to just meat shield, as well as be very reliable meat shields. Like, they don't take damage from daggers. Every class, I feel, has a role. If not, like, in every map, like, some classes are better than others, granted, but like I felt like none of the classes were like, oh, this class is totally shit. Like, even Chi Guard, I want to experiment with Chi Guard and Chi Adept units a little bit more. I still think that you can come up with cool strats with them. I know most people don't think that Chi Adepts are that good, but I on my future playthroughs, I want to experiment with it a little bit more. Maybe get some sick, nutty strategies that way. But I have nothing but high praise for the gameplay on Maddening. Maddening it's pretty much perfect in my eyes. I know people are like, well, nothing's perfect. I mean, yeah, but if you think like that, then it's like, you'll never be, if you think like nothing is perfect, then you'll never be awe-inspired, I feel like. And I feel like, yeah, sure, I'm probably in the honeymoon phase for Engage, but just like, I was just so impressed by the gameplay. And I'm just going to talk about the gameplay for now. Like, I'll maybe create a separate video on story and just other aspects, but just like everything so far was just so, I just loved it. Like even the story, I have comments on the story. The music is fantastic. The animations are fantastic. This, if you're you're just getting into Fire Emblem, this is like the perfect time. This is probably like the best, anniversary celebratory game that they could create for Fire Emblem. And I just enjoyed the shit out of it. It was so fun. Maddening was fantastic as well. The gameplay is at its peak right now. It's at its top tier. It's at its A game right now for Fire Emblem. So I can't sing the praises of this game any higher right now. And I hope you guys had similar experiences, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to future videos. I want to get more subscribers. I don't really care about getting like thousands of subscribers. I just want to get 1,000 subscribers, just 1,000 subscribers, just so I can not have to view YouTube ads anymore. That's really all I care about. I hope you enjoyed this content. Look forward to more content from me, and thanks for watching.